Welcome. In this video, we'll learn about the different documentations needed for over the duration of a construction project and why we need them and what type of documentations we or a contractor typically does in a construction project. So we'll learn about why it's important to do that, and project management systems, electronic systems that can help with that, because it's a very tedious process to document all aspects of a project. And also we'll learn about the different types of project documents and documentation activities you do. And we'll go over examples of these documentations, for example, the meeting minutes, and also labor and equipment and material cost reporting. So documentation is just recording major events that happen in a project, or recording the activities of the construction, how it's done, or communicating issues that happen on the site. It's a very cumbersome task. A lot of my students graduate and the first thing they do on site is documentation, RFIs, taking pictures, and it's a very soul-killing kind of thing to do. But if you know why you're doing it or understand the importance of it, you will appreciate it, and you will appreciate the contribution you make by doing these important documentations. So why we need to do this documentation? For different reasons. First, for time and cost, when you document about cost of labor and material, you document about the progress of your work, taking pictures, taking videos, all of that is necessary to control the project, to know what went good, what went bad. It's important for future projects, not only this single project you're working on. And it's important when things go bad. I mean, like you have a claim from one of the project parties claiming that you did this and that cost them money, then you can go back to your documentation and prove your situation here. And the as-built photos that you take can help not only you, but those who will come after you using this facility. So the facility management team will know how you build this facility, and they can look through the walls. Literally, they can see, yeah, this wall was built this way in this photo in this date, and they can know what is inside the walls. So a couple of examples here. So the plans show that there should be an electrical outlet here, but it's this wall, but you can find it. What happened? Who's responsible? So you can see here that in the studs they had the electrical box here. The drywall they had it, but it seems that the tile contractor didn't pay attention and covered it. So you know who's responsible for that. And then another famous one is the ADA handrail. If you're dealing with a stud wall, then you need to hang these handrails on the studs, or blocking, kind of a wood blocking that will take these screws and take the load. You can't just do it on just the drywall or the sheetrock. So sometimes your studs, you expect it to be within a specific interval, but in this case here you can't fix the handrail. And if you go to the pictures, you can see, yeah, actually the studs here are a little farther away than usual, and you need to then do like specific measures here, and that comes with a cost, and you can discuss who will pay for these. So before we jump into the different documentations that are needed, there is good news here that there is we are blessed with a lot of electronic tools and power and cloud computing, and that will make life easier a lot compared to the old days. So using your computerized project administration, project management tools, and the purpose of these is just to digitize the communication and flow of information between the many parties involved in a project. So all of these links you see here, there is some kind of information or services or payments, and a lot of things are happening in every one of these links. And the general contractor is in the center of that. So having like a way to digitize that have its own benefits. What are these benefits? First of all, it's faster. I mean, you don't have to like write a letter, RFI, scan it, like even scanning or fax it. Fax it was the fastest or the magic way in 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Now it's email, and you don't have to waste all of that time. You're improving the productivity of your project engineers and project managers to focus really on the real problems, not scanning and shipping and mailing and all of that. Also, by the digitizing aspect of it is a big benefit here. You don't have to. Everything is already in soft copies in AutoCAD format, so you can. It's already digitized. So why not use it in its native format? Why print it, scan it, and then or mail it? When it is digitized, it's easier to share. And also, it's easier to manage incomplete information in some way. Although some people will argue the opposite, because if you have a hard copy that's sitting in one place, updating it, you have more control on that compared to a bunch of files, everyone is throwing them on each other. But if you have measures, and this is why project management systems, electronic systems, will help with version control of the documents. And of course, the last thing here, it's greener. Why kill a lot of trees to print big, thick, packet of drawings, while you can just send the email or email it to the different parties of the project. So, a lot of options. So all of these are different currently. I mean, who knows? Maybe next year we'll have a different competitor here. Different electronic systems for project management. So Procore, ESOP, Viewpoint, different. I can't say that these are not in a specific order. I've seen people use a lot of Procore and Viewpoint also. Viewpoint is more like bigger companies. PlanGrid is also a nice tool to share plans and mark the plans and get to the point of you having accurate as-built plans. So you share the plans on the site, literally in the ditch. You can access the plan with a Wi-Fi grid on the site. You can access it on an iPad. So there's a lot of digitization happens in the construction industry now. But the point is, there are a lot of tools out there. You just need to, as a company, the company need to make a decision which one to go for. And the decision to go to which software of these depends on understanding that this software project management is just part of a bigger picture, which is the Enterprise Resource Planning System, ERP. So this is just a big picture where I used to work in a construction company, that you have different, every one of these blocks here is a software. And everyone is dealt with different people in the company. So this is mainly here the accountants working with the invoice router. ProLog was the thing in the old day before Procore came, but ProLog is the people on the site using it. This is for also like the purchasing department within the company will use Texera. So it's a lot of moving parts, and you need to make sure that they are compatible and the information is flowing between them. And that's mainly the decision factor that you would consider in deciding which one of these tools you're to use. So just be aware of where am I in this big picture and what information flows in whatever tool I'm using. Now, what type of documentations we have? We can organize these in 4 big categories, and these are kind of color-coded. There are documents that are contractually required. There are documents that you want to use to communicate information. There are documents that you want to document conversations and progress of the work, and there are documents that you use to keep track of costs. So we'll go over most of these. Some of these are pretty straightforward, like letters. I'm sure you used to write letters in high school or middle school or even elementary. but we'll go over the important ones. So the first category here is contractually required documents. So the contract requires you as a contractor to document specific aspects. So this table here just shows you an example. At the startup, you have to submit your schedule. So this means that I need to prepare schedules and document the changes in these schedules. I need to document the list of subcontractors, and all of this is just a bunch of more and more hours that you have to do. So this is why one of the factors people would consider when deciding to hire a project engineer, who would do all of these with the understanding of the context behind them. It needs a professional to do it, not a secretary, with all due respect to secretary and administration people. But you need a professional who would know the schedule values relate to what part of the project when they provide the time schedule, so they can validate it. So you need a professional to do all of that. The next here is the corresponding documentation, and we'll cover RFIs and meeting minutes. RFIs is just a keyword for basically asking a question. If you have a question, just typically the architect will say, send me RFI. So RFI is asking for clarification or sharing information of something happened on the site to the architect, and that means that the architect will let the owner know. You as a builder, you would look always at RFIs with the lens of possibility of a change order. So the first way to to ask for additional money is to first send an RFI to explain things, and then if the architect kind of agrees with that, then you follow up with a change order. One thing that also kind of an indication of the performance of the project team is the number of RFIs. So what does it mean to have too many RFIs? Probably it's not good news. Like, there are a lot of ambiguity then that you need to respond to send RFIs to clarify these ambiguities. Or it's kind of a very messy project. It's very chaotic side, a lot of things happening, and you're not prepared for these. So many RFIs is not a good indication. When you write an RFI, these are just kind of hints. Be short and concise. Don't tell the story of your life there. Clearly state the problem or the question. Like, the architects are super busy, so be direct in your question or what you want to deliver, and state clearly what you want from them. Try to support RFIs with different other resources. So you need to have a unique ID for each RFI so you can refer to it in the future, and also state all the facts and in a fair way. Don't fabricate things, and set dates, set deadlines that you can set expectations of the urgency of the RFI. So this is just a sample here from the textbook of my class. You can see it's very short descriptions, and you can see also that there are references to specific rooms and sheets of the plans, dates. So try to be very concise, very straightforward. It's a technical writing thing, so try to have organized thoughts when you write RFIs. Meeting minutes is also an important thing. You have to document what's being discussed in the minutes, so no one later comes and say, oh, no, I didn't say that, or no, I didn't approve this. So meeting minutes is just a way to prove the discussion that happened in meetings. And there are a lot of discussion and decisions happen in meetings. And these meetings can be, the most important meeting is the OAC meeting, the owner, architect, and contractor meeting. That's in a typical design build project. And there are different ways of doing meeting minutes, depending on industry you work on. But this is kind of a suggested outline. So you start with the title and project information, because you as a construction company, you work on multiple projects. The owner is doing multiple projects. The architect is doing multiple projects. So you need to specify which project is this. You need to write the attendance and even have an attendance roster with signatures. So just another proof that people attended. And then approving the previous meeting minutes, because you write the minutes, you send it for approval, and then kind of the next meeting you officially approve it. And then you open the floor for people to share project progress. Typically, it's the superintendent. And then submittals is a big element, a big part of construction projects because it's the first stepping stone toward really doing the work. So you need to approve quality of the material that you will use or fabrication ways. So submittals is a big part. Change orders is a very sticky point that always people want to discuss in meetings and finalize and settle. So, and then you go to the action items. So old businesses, old action items, and also new action items. So people come with problems that they need help with. So the new businesses will result in new action items that will be all business in future meetings. And then you specify when the meeting ended as just kind of a closure to this document. Next here is progress and conversation documentation. So it's a lot of documentation here, and not all the companies do everything here. So the first thing is daily reports, and daily reports are the things that are, it's an internal document. Internal means it's not shared with the owner or the architect or even shared with the people in the main office of the contractor. So it's within the project manager, superintendent, project engineer, or field engineer. So it's just a way to, let's put our thoughts in summarizing what happened in this day. And it's just documentation of what happened, the weather, what subs were there on the site, any major occurrences, who visited the site. So just to summarize what happened in the project. Yes, the knowledge is in the heads of everyone, but it's a good practice to document all of that in a report. And then there's the weekly and monthly reports. Now, we're not getting into report internal documentation anymore. We want to share the summary of what happens daily on a weekly and monthly basis with the bosses, those in the offices who are following up with us on the project progress. So the top management here is now involved in these reports, and you're providing summary here. So the project executive in the company office is reading these from the project manager or superintendent, and just a basis for discussing if the project is going well, if you need more help, if you need more staff. So that's the weekly and monthly reporting. And then there is the photographs and videos. So you'll see a lot of project engineers in the first internship, they take the camera and go on the site, take pictures. And then I always tell them it's the best way to learn about project at this moment. When you take a picture, you know what you're taking, you observe, you learn what happens in the field. So a photograph doesn't lie, so it's always better to take many pictures. Videos are also important, and videotaping and recording is used for security purposes also. So you might have a fixed camera already taking videos for you, so you don't have to do that, or you want to do that to study productivity. So if you're doing a new tweak or a new setting for pouring concrete or trying new equipment, then you want to study how productive was it. So of course now videos are better than photographs. New things happening now that technology, Reconstruct is just one company. It's a very innovative company. My friend actually was one of the founders, established this startup. So what they do is from different photos, from drone photos, they can actually construct a 3D model of the building and compare it to the building information model that's tied to the schedule and can tell you these different colors here tell you if you are behind schedule or ahead of schedule or on schedule. So it's pretty cool. Trying to add value to that, a lot of the amount of effort you put in taking videos and photos and really valuable information, like really are we behind schedule or ahead of schedule. Diaries are also kind of a personal recording, so it's only every one of the site staff kind of recommend to have a note writing what happened to you personally and trying to document. So in case someone asks you a question, you don't depend on your own memory. And of course, in cases of claims or litigation, you have something to support your memory kind of archiving and retrieval that you'll have. So it's kind of the captain in the ship, they have a diary, a project engineer can have a diary, a project manager, a superintendent can have a diary. So always better to sign so no one authenticate your thoughts and diaries here. Logs, a lot of logs. So that might be a little older, but you have a log of what phones you made. All of that is just pieces of information. So when the time comes, you have this information to support your claims. Visitors log, submittals log is a very important one, and that's kind of an example here. You're tracking the submittals, when did you send it, the action that was assigned. So we'll learn about submittals in its lesson, but submittals is a very important thing to track. And then document control logs, so you can track the versions of different plans and specifications that are sent to you from the architect. Finally, your cost documentation. It's very important to document cost for the many reasons. First, you want to transmit that information to the company so accountants can start paying money for those who are incurring these costs, subs or labor, your own laborers, or those rental companies that give you equipment. You want to control your project and know how much you spend versus how much you budgeted. And it helps you with future projects and having that knowledge, how much you would spend in this activity, in this project or a typical project. It is a capital, like it's your own knowledge capital that you should grow and keep growing by documenting it. The three main things that you document are the three main resources that you will handle in a construction project: material, labor, and equipment. So material cost documentation is basically linking the purchase order number to the corresponding cost code. Cost codes are a way to organize the way you track costs. So it's buckets. So you don't track the cost of the drywall in the same bucket that you use to track the cost of concrete. There are different activities, different trades, different materials. So it's buckets where you can keep assigning values over projects for the same work, the same type of activity. Now you're kind of linking between the cost codes and the purchase orders of materials needed in this cost code activity. So I see here there's a water stop, there's stakes, there's different lumber parts. So probably it seems like water stop is for concrete structures. So it seems that this is, and also cost codes here follow a standard CSI master format code. So 03 represents typically concrete division of the work. So that they're probably building something like a tank or something here. But by looking at that, you can know what's happening here, what materials you order, and how much it costs. So you can connect. And beauty of electronic systems is that this is all electronically done, and it's real time, and it's very readily available on computers and phone apps, and it's amazing what technology is is improving the industry here. Labor cost records. So same things. You need to pay people, and you need to know if they're doing their job and following the productivity rates that we expected. And if they're not, then we need to update our records to show that workers maybe become more productive, or there are issues with their productivity. For example, I'm recording this video in the time of COVID-19. COVID studies show that they hammer the productivity by 15-20%. They lower productivity. So now with documentation, I can track the impact of COVID. I can reflect that in future projects if COVID reality stays for a longer time. For labor documentation, cost documentation, I need three kind of sub-documentation. I need time cards, I need quantity reports, and then from these two, I will get the labor cost report. So time cards is like if you work in an internship, you ask you to fill your time card at the end of the week. So you assign your hours to different cost codes. So this is Ramsey here. He's a cement finisher. Hohaz is a carpenter. Jen is a carpenter. This is these two here, Drew and Elliot, are laborers, and they report their right time or overtime. And of course, depending on the trade and level in the trade, they have hourly rates, and they report their hours, different cost codes here. Now, what are these cost codes? You can check these cost codes in the quantity report. So now for every cost code here, see 3010, it's a continuous footing. All of that's 3 is a concrete division. So all of these are concrete work, the units, and then I can accumulate all the time cards related to this specific cost code. This can be Ramsey and Jen together that resulted into this number of hours. So 60 hours is, of course, not a one labor, because we have only officially right time 40 hours a week. So this is a way to track the quantities of work. Oh, and sorry, that's not hours, that's cubic yards. So I'm not here tracking hours, sorry. So that's cubic yards. So they done last week 60 cubic yards, and this week they done 20 cubic yards, and total to date is 120. And total complete is 0. This means that this activity is completed. Now, with the time cards and quantity reports, so time cards help in paying the payroll for the laborers and different employees you have. And when detailing the time cards by the cost codes and also the quantity report by the cost code, you will be able to create that cost report. And cost report here is basically a control document. Control means that it tells you if you're up to date, you're on track as expected, and also updating you as projected rates of productivity. So we'll not go into detail of that. It's more on project control aspect of this. But documentation-wise, you know it's important that time cards has to be accurate, and also quantities have to be accurate, so you can result in this accurate labor cost record. The last thing here is equipment cost record. And the equipment cost record here, if you're owning your own equipment, and especially the case for heavy contractors who build roads and bridges and different heavy structures here, then you would need to track all the costs related to the equipment. So you have to track, you paid money for the equipment, how much depreciation that happens of the equipment, how much you pay for repairing, the fueling, routine service and insurance. But also if you're renting equipment, to be able to track for future, maybe you would decide, should I buy an equipment or keep renting? You need this information here documented. For, of course, renting equipment, you have less costs to track. And miscellaneous here will include other things, other cost items as shown. So you'll see here for different accounting code, so 02 here is, I think, site work. But you have grading here, and you have different equipments, and the rates that rate here is depending on rental or ownership. If you own the equipment, the different software will give you this rate depending on the different numbers you plug in for everything here. Rental is just basically from the rental house of that equipment that will tell you this is the hourly rate, and you're tracking how many hours you use this equipment. So a lot of documentation, yes. And it has to be done in most cases. In mid-sized to large projects, it's very important to document. A lot of parties involved, and you have to make sure that everyone is on the same page. You're documenting their decisions, so for control purposes, for lessons learned purposes, and hopefully not, but for claim and litigation purposes. So thanks for watching. See you in other videos. Take care.